Welcome to my review of Danger Zone 2. And this was the Xbox One X version. Played on the Series X, but it's basically an Xbox One game. I don't know if there's any enhancements to Series X, but this is available on multiple platforms. And as I mentioned in my other reviews of these games, check out the bundle where you get all 4 or 5 games for $40. The Dangerous series, basically. If you search, there's a bundle where all the games are bundled together. It's a much better deal than paying for these games individually because they're all quite good games, but they're not really long enough to justify some of the prices on them. So I would recommend getting the package. I think the $40 package is a nice package. And I thought it was worth, I don't know if I would say it was all worth $40. I mean, it still feels a little short on content for me as a whole, but if you are looking to check out these games, it's going to be the cheapest way to check them all out. So I recommend that. Now this game, again, check my review for Danger Zone 1, and you're pretty much seeing my review for this. Both games are very, very similar. They're based on the Crash mode in Burnout 3 from many years ago. So this does add a few different things from the first game. I remember the first game having more platforming, which was kind of interesting, where you actually kind of drift your car onto different platforms, and you have to sometimes find the areas where the crashes are. It's a little, less clear at times, but it was kind of cool. This one doesn't seem to have as much platforming from what I remember, but it does have that. But one thing, it adds something new. It adds like Burnout-style racing into the event. So sometimes you race for quite a while before you actually get to the crash junction where all the crashing takes place. So they did add things like that. The traffic mechanics are better with hitting the traffic and stuff. The game, looks a little bit more advanced. I would say it's a little bit of an improvement in a lot of ways than the first game. But both of them, I had, pretty much an equal amount of enjoyment. Maybe this one was a little bit better, but I think it was kind of marginal. The sound in these games is great. The crash sounds are awesome on a surround system, and it probably sounds great in headphones as well. It does add to the immersion of the game. Not so much the gameplay, but it is nice. This one sounded even better than the first game, so that was an improvement as well. But the idea with this game is that you have to complete each course. The way you complete a course is you need to get the amount of points that's required to get the bronze medal in each course. Now, you can, of course, go for silver and gold medals, platinum, but to beat the game, all you have to do is get a bronze in each course, and then you'll be able to beat the game. If you get a bronze, it will let you go to the next course. It'll unlock the next course. So you need to at least get a bronze, which it'll tell you how many points are required to beat each course. So the crashing, the damage and everything is awesome. Now the car damage is not necessarily super advanced. Like the cars don't get all crumpled and shit, and depending on where you hit them, it's not super detailed with that, but the chaos on screen is awesome. With all the sparks and everything, the sounds really add to it. It's way better than the Crash mode was in the Burnout, in Burnout 3 back in the day, or Burnout 4 Revenge. It's a huge improvement on that. So if you like the Crash mode in those games, then this is an easy recommendation. Now this one may have only been 2 hours. I think the first game was about an hour to beat. So they are very short games. It would be better if they were, lengthier games. But if you're into Crash mode or just causing, a lot of chaos in this kind of game, it has like a strategy element to it with the way you place your car to cause as much, damage as possible, then you're most likely going to enjoy this game. Now, you can switch your camera perspective during the race segments. Sometimes it's just easier in the first-person mode because, you don't have to worry about your car in the way of your visuals. It's easy to crash. Sometimes you cannot see cars in front of you if you're looking at the back of your car. It will obscure it. So I found it easier sometimes to switch to this camera mode. Because sometimes you are required to do some racing for a little while before you get to the main crash junction where you score all your points. So sometimes you have to do that. And it's a nice little addition that they added those little racing segments. They're brief racing segments, but it's cool to see. If you want to see the racing fleshed out by this developer, check out Dangerous Driving. That's a purely racing game with no crash mode. And it's based on the Burnout, the racing in the Burnout series with takedowns and all that kind of shit. So I think they were kind of experimenting here and experimenting with making an actual racing game. So they started to mix it into their Crash mode game. But it was a nice addition. It does add a little something to it. It makes it a little bit more interesting. Of course, hitting traffic, you can rack up more points by causing more crashes, knocking traffic into each other. So that was very cool. It mixes mechanics from the old Burnout games like traffic checking and shit like that. It's all kind of mixed together in a really nice way that makes for a really satisfying kind of puzzle on each level to try to get the most points. But yeah, both games, they are very similar, Danger Zone 1 and 2. So, aside from the few things I mentioned, I don't have a lot different to say about this version. But I thought it was worth reviewing as well. So the idea, like I said, is to rack up as many points on each stage. You want to at least get a bronze medal to advance to the next stage. Once you complete a certain amount of stages, you will get an ending. It's not much of an ending. It just says something like, campaign complete or something like that. And then you can go back and play all the stages for, in the stage select. You can go in the stage select menu and play all the stages, try to get the best scores. If you want to get personal best scores. Or there's probably achievements and shit like that, I'm sure. For me, I was just going through to beat the game. But you could replay it if you're into those arcade type of, scoring. It could be kind of fun to try to get better scores on some of the stages. So yeah, the way it usually starts is you have to get to a crash junction and then crash your vehicle. And then, of course, all the cars at those intersections are going to start crashing into you. And you're going to rack up a lot of points that way. Then you use your smash breaker, which you can activate after hitting a certain amount of cars. So here it says 29, as you can see in the bottom left corner. Once you get the Smash Breaker, you hit B to activate Smash Breaker, which will launch your car and let you control it as you're launching the body of your car. So you make your car explode with the Smash Breaker, and then you kind of move it around in slow motion. You can hold down the bumper, I believe, to go into slow motion and kind of move it carefully to try to cause more crashes. And you can then move your car into other Smash Breaker icons to get additional Smash Breakers to use again to keep chaining it. So that's part of the strategy. And some of these stages add some cool jumps and racing mechanics into the game. Though you're never racing against other cars or anything like that. But you do get to drive on the tracks for a little bit before getting to the main crash junction. But yeah, that's pretty much what the game is all about. It's about racking up points and causing crashes, as much chaos as possible. And it does have some kind of puzzle elements. And it's kind of just about, causing the chaos, and you get to see a lot of cool shit as you cause, tons of crashes. Great sound. And it's a very enjoyable game. I would definitely recommend it, but I recommend getting the bundle because all 4 games are quite enjoyable. And I think it's a much better package for $40 if you get all 4 games than buying them individually. But either way, I would say this is a 7.5 out of 10 for me. Quite a good game. If you have any questions, let me know, and thanks for watching.